Mon Dieu, c'est formidable! Merveilleuse. So beautiful. I love this film. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce our guest speakers for tonight's conversation. Our moderator, Jenelle Riley, is the Deputy Awards and Features Editor at Variety. And our star, Zoey Deutch, has built a remarkable career since making her big screen debut at 15 in Mayor Cupcake. From there, she's moved seamlessly between television, film, and theater with standout roles in Beautiful Creatures, Rebel in the Rye, The Disaster Artist, Set It Up, The Outfit, and Juror Number 2. Last year, she also made her Broadway debut in a revival of Thornton Wilder's Our Town. Her performance as Jean Seberg in Nouvelle Vague has been earning a lot of recognition. This November alone, she received the Breakthrough Performance Award at the Savannah Film Festival and the Rising Star Award at the Denver Film Festival. She's also been nominated for Best Supporting Performance at the upcoming Film Independent Spirit Awards. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Zoey Deutch and Jenelle Riley.
Hi, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I am not going to speak in French. It's enough for me to just say Nouvelle Vague. I've been practicing that. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on another great movie and another great collaboration with Richard Linklater.
Thank you, and thank you guys for being here.
Actually, whenever I have people as accomplished as you, I love going back to the beginning and asking, what was your first job in this business? The first time you felt you could call yourself an actress? I don't know if you even remember.
My first job was on a Disney sitcom.
Really?
Called, yes, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. On Deck. It was the spinoff.
Right.
And it was a very cool first job in a lot of different ways, but doing a sitcom, a live taped, sitcom, there's an audience, there's a play element to it, it's ever changing, it's cutthroat. If you don't land the joke in the table read, you're out.
Wow.
So it was actually, I thought it was an awesome first gig to have.
That's really
That
cool.
was my first job here.
Well, again, congratulations on Nouvelle Vague. I'm going to say it as much as I can now because I've been
You're
practicing.
killing it.
And as I mentioned, you previously worked with Richard Linklater, I guess it was 15 years ago?
No, 11 years ago.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He's been working on this for 15 years.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes. When he first, mentioned Jean Seberg to you, what did you know about her at that time, or think you knew about her?
Not much, but yeah, we were making a movie called Everybody Wants Some, and his spiritual sequel, as he says, to Dazed and Confused. And yeah, we were making the movie, and he said to me, while we were shooting, that he was working on a film about the making of Breathless, and that he wanted me to play Jean Seberg. And I remember the moment very distinctly, mostly because I was 19, and I was so wrapped up and terrified in how lucky I was to be there in that experience, and I was so convinced he was going to cut me out of the movie. And when he said to me, he wanted to play Jean, I was like, okay, well, if he wants me for something else, maybe he's not going to cut me out of this one. 1 + 1 = 2. But I didn't know much about Jean, and I certainly didn't know much about new wave cinema. But I had a decade. I had a decade to learn, which is awesome. It's very rare to have that much time to fall in love with your character and meet your character. Not that I was intensely studying in any. I didn't know how real it was. It was a very passing comment. I didn't hear anything else again for another 5 years. But of course, it was always in the back of my head. Like, what if I didn't make that up?
Yeah. You start
Maybe
getting
I
a short
didn't.
haircut and go blonde.
Yeah.
No, she had such a fascinating life, but I really, until probably the last 5 years, didn't know that much about her. And it's so fascinating. But it makes me wonder, when you're playing someone real like this, that there's so much information out there on, how do you know, what to listen to and what to kind of ignore and create your own character?
It's a great question. Well, there's actually, it's not like our lives now, right?
Yeah.
We have, it'll
She
be
wasn't
very,
on Twitter.
Neither am I. But yeah, there actually wasn't that much information of her in this specific time. But there's one great interview that I used as sort of I just recited it every morning before work. It was like a monologue, and it was really helpful in her voice at that time and her energy at that time. But yeah, and there were 2 movies that she did before Breathless that was also helpful. But otherwise, there wasn't a ton of footage or information. But in terms of what you take and what you leave, Rick was really careful in reminding us that we were doing interpretations, not impressions of these people. And it's such a awesome gift when you're building a character that you have a lot of the pieces of the puzzle already there, and so you're just filling in the gaps, and you get to bring yourself to those little pieces and imagine other little pieces, and then just and then put it all together, right? But it was interesting, like leading up to it, I think there was a big fear of, what if I fuck this up, and what if people don't believe or think this, and then at the second I started really digging into the work, all of that sort of went away, and it was all about, all that fear was relocated to her. And like, what if she saw this? Would she feel that I saw her? Would she feel misunderstood, which I know she did for so many years by so many people? Or would she feel like I saw her a little bit? You know, that it was redirected in a really helpful way for me, in a really powerful way, in releasing these sort of not useful, product-focused, like, I don't know, outside stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it just all just became, every decision just I made was hopefully, you know, she would feel this out of respect for her and love for her.
And much like her at the time, you didn't speak any French coming into this role.
Yeah, no, I started learning it like 2 years before.
Wow. Duolingo or?
I did have Duolingo. But, you know, it was a different type of French, right? This is not, it's not modern French.
You're right. I didn't even think about
it's
that.
like yeah, that was something that the cast, it was an entirely French cast and crew, but the cast had to be reminded all the time that, you know, this is, you can't use any of the slang. You can't, it's a different kind of, you know, thing.
Oh, that's fascinating.
But, no, I did not speak French. That was definitely intimidating.
Especially in an all-French cast. I think you're the only American, aren't you?
Yeah, me and Rick were the only Americans. So, yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't have to be on camera doing a French accent.
No, and he still doesn't know one word of French, which is fascinating. What a man that is so at his, you know, at the peak of his craft that he doesn't need to speak one word and still can create such an amazing film. It's pretty, I think that's really impressive. And it's so funny when people ask him that question. I feel like he's almost a little like, duh.
Right?
He's like, what do you mean? Like, it's not that hard. It's a visual medium. And I'm like, Rick, it's really hard. That's really hard.
Also, he's got things to do. He can't be learning French. He's got 2 movies out this year.
Yeah. Yes, he's amazing.
What was it like coming back to work with Rick? Because it seems like such a natural collaboration. I'm actually surprised it took this long. But, you know, has he changed at all, his style, or is it still pretty much the same?
I think for anyone here who's a fan of his, you'll know that all of his movies, they have long gestation periods, right? They and he really takes his time in a kind of. I was talking about this yesterday. Like, I feel like I've learned a lot about his spiritual. I call it a spiritual approach to making art. In that, instead of being bogged down by no's and it's not going to happen, you can't get the money right now, he sort of waters all these different plants and then he sees what grows, and it's not that he's just like waiting for something to happen. He's, you know, he at any moment has 6 movies that he's working on, and when one starts to feel like it's gaining momentum, he goes with it, you know, go where the water's warm. And I've learned a lot about that kind of, like, yes, work your ass off and like and try hard to get something made, but if it doesn't get made at that moment, it's not the moment for it. And so it's not that he was trying so hard to make it for 15 years. It was more just I'm seeing when the universe wants this movie, and so I've learned a lot from him about that in approaching this whatever world or business. it in a more positive way. But I don't remember the question.
Just if he's changed at all as a director.
Totally
Yeah.
didn't answer that. He has not. No,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, you've worked with so many amazing directors. I'm kind of curious what you hope for from one when you show up to set.
Decisiveness.
It's kind of surprising how many aren't.
But isn't it so nice when someone's like, we're going to order this. We're going to go to the restaurant. We're going to, like in your daily life, I'm saying. It's so nice when you work with a director who's just, clear and decisive. And that's a treat. But I think that takes experience and confidence. And usually the confidence will be like with a first-time feature director. They don't have the experience. They haven't been traumatized. And then it comes back, I think, after you've worked for like 30 years or something. But I don't know. I look for, and it's interesting. I got to work with Rick and Clint Eastwood within like a year of each other.
I love Juror Number 2.
And they...
Was like my favorite movie last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just met the writer, and just if you haven't seen it, I believe it's on another streaming service, but it's really good.
And the thing that I was thinking about with these two great filmmakers is that they prioritize peace so much. It's really like their entire methodology on set is about how do we reduce the heightened state that is being on set. So that's something that I really appreciated about both of them, and I look for now. There's so much stuff going around on set, and money and time and things, and so a director who is looking to, I don't know, I just think that connection can't be formed in a state of, or it's harder to connect when you're in a state of panic. When you're, when you're like when you're comfortable and when you feel peaceful, there's more space to connect. And that goes for everyone, not just the actors, but everyone. And art is so much about a connection, right? So that's something that I really look for now.
Is it true? I heard Clint Eastwood doesn't even say action.
He does not.
He says something like, "When you're ready." Yeah,
He'll go like, "Okay, go." Be like, "Now?" Mm-hmm. And then the cut is like, "All right, that's enough of that." They'd be like, "Okay, so was it bad or good or moving on?" You're like, "Okay, so good, I think, or bad."
The rumor is he learned that because on Rawhide, when they would say action or cut, it would spook the cattle.
Horses, yeah,
the
horses. And so he said, if we're doing that to our actors, if we're spooking them into being like, "You feel," not really.
All right, act.
Yeah. Go, be emotional.
I was also thinking with this movie, in so many ways, you're actually playing two roles because you're playing Jean, but also Patricia, the role she plays in Breathless. I don't know if you thought of it as two different parts, if you approach
Certainly,
it.
yeah. And they have different voices, and they have different. They're totally different to me, different characters. Yeah.
But you'd have to play them on the same day, probably at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How do you differentiate? I'm always fascinated by like actors' processes, like if they're big highlighters.
I'm a big preparation
Really?
highlight. My scripts look nuts, and sometimes it's like silly stuff. But yes, I had everything sort of meticulously jotted down, and but no, it was the thing that was helpful was the voices. They were just very different voices and different energies, and yeah.
Your co-stars, Guillaume, who plays Godard, and Aubry, who plays Belmondo, are so wonderful. What were they like to collaborate with? That chemistry is very infectious from the beginning. I don't know if you had time to get to know each other.
Well, we had about as much rehearsal time as we had shooting time.
Really?
Which was really wonderful. Yeah, which is Rick's process, always. And so, yeah, we got to spend quite a bit of time together, and they're just like the most wonderful people, and it was it was both of their first movie they ever
That's
did.
crazy.
Yeah, really crazy. Actually, Guillaume, who plays Godard, was working as an extra before, and he just really blew me away. Not only in how obviously talented he is as an actor, but the before and after. Like, everyone wants to paint, but do you want to like buy the brushes and figure out how to mix the colors and get all the things ready and and then clean the brushes, the before and after. Like, everyone wants to do what's there. They don't want to deal with the stuff that comes in between. And maybe that's a bad metaphor, but
No.
I just was in awe of how he handled the before and after of all of it. The being number one on the call sheet and being but it is a thing, being a leader and bringing everyone together and being kind to everyone, but also having to sort of be firm. You know, he was just, and then with the press part of it, like that stuff takes.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
He's
do
a
it.
natural.
He's just such a natural and rose to the occasion in such a cool way. It's basically what I'm trying to say is it's so cool to see someone you love have a moment and deserve it and rise to the occasion. Like, it's so awesome for me to watch that. Yeah.
He's fantastic. When I found out it was his first movie, I just got very angry. That's not fair. This movie looks fantastic, by the way. I love that it really feels like a French New Wave style film. And obviously, Gene Friedberg has a very specific look. How much does it help to wear those famous costumes, to have that haircut, to like really lock the character into place?
It was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the in terms of it looking like a real New Wave movie, that was the intention, was that if someone saw this movie in, I don't know, 30 years or 40 years and had never heard of it, they would think that this movie was shot then. That was his intention. And I feel like he succeeded. I feel like it feels really real. And yeah, the costumes were amazing, of course. And it was fun to cut all my hair off. Grew back fast. So, yeah.
You knew you were in when you had to cut your hair off, right? This movie was happening for sure.
Yeah, I was going to cut it off, and I got a call from Rick, and he was like, don't do it yet. I was like, who are you talking to? What actress? Who was better for financing? He's like, no, Zoe, calm down. No, he was like, we just don't have all the money yet, so I need to make sure that it's all locked, because I had really long. He was so worried about the haircut, and I was like, it's hair, who cares? Like, what's the big deal? It grows back. And he was, because I had really long curly hair, so he really made sure that all the money was in the bank before I cut my hair. I was like, whatever, it's fine.
That's so sweet.
So yes, when I cut all the hair off, I was like, all right, it's happening.
Yeah, you knew. No turning back now. I asked you before about like what you knew about Gene when you first heard about this project. When did you see Breathless? I assume it was after he suggested you play Gene.
Yeah, shortly after that. Yeah.
So that was your first time see, because I remember seeing it in film school, and it's shocking to me how relevant.
Many people? Sorry, how many people have seen Breathless?
Oh wow!
Okay, wait, how many people haven't seen Breathless? Okay.
Wow, that's
okay.
This is
sorry
this
to
is a
interrupt
museum crowd. What was your reaction when you first saw it? Because I'm so impressed at how it's remained so beloved and iconic for all these years.
I was confused when I saw it for the first time. I'm going to be very honest. I did not. I enjoyed it, but I was confused. I think in part I didn't understand how like badass and punk rock it was, because so many of the movies that I love now have been inspired by it. So I was like, oh, it's a lot like these other films that I've seen, including Slacker. You know, like it feels. Right. It didn't feel revolutionary to me because it had inspired so many movies I love. And then when I really got into understanding what it was and how different it was at its time, that's when I started to appreciate it more. But I still was, you know, to this day, I think I've seen this Breathless more than any other movie. But I still have questions. Yeah. And what was cool for me personally as a fan was to create my own answers about things that I would never get answers for. So, for example, there was, you know, there's Patricia has this. She says in the cafe scene with the journalist, she says, "Of course, of course, of course," and And I was like, why is she saying it that way in Breathless? I'm saying, why is she saying it? Almost seems like she was doing a line. She was seeing how she was going to say the line, and Godard was just shooting it. And so I said, why don't we add that in our movie? Because I don't understand that line reading. I don't get it. Let's put it in ours and reverse engineer it as if. So we put it in our movie, in Nouvelle Vague, of me kind of sitting at the cafe going, of course, of course, of course, and having Godard watch and be like, I like that. Which was so fun. And I did a ton of that and reverse engineered a lot of the things that I was sort of like, I don't understand what that is.
That's so cool. But sometimes actors know these characters, I say character even though it's a real person, better than anyone, and can give directors who are open to collaboration a great idea. Yeah, that's really impressive, actually. I do want to remind everyone that this movie is now on Netflix, so you can watch it again and again. And you can also, I'm sure you can stream Breathless somewhere. I want to thank you so much for being here. I did want to say one thing. I was going to ask you what the most challenging part of making this movie was, but you might have told me backstage it was incredibly cold and windy that day you're on the pier.
I keep forgetting about that. I only remembered it because we were back there. They have a little screen.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
if you watch it, you'll see the wind is whipping you all around.
It was so cold, and it was raining every day, and we were supposed to be pretending it's summer, but that always happens. I don't know if that was the most, it really wasn't challenging. This movie was so fun to make. It feels fun because it was fun, and we were really, really lucky to make it. And it's a love letter to cinema about, a young, ambitious artist making what's important to them, making their movie, not whatever the other people want them to make. And I think it's just, and we had a really, really great time making it. So there wasn't really, I was afraid of speaking French to a bunch of French people, but otherwise, and they didn't let me ADR one word. That was the most challenging. No, I got a text that was like, we're picture locked and we're done. And I said, really? Are we sure? So that was tough. But otherwise, everything was great.
So if you go back and watch that scene, now I see it. I see the wind whipping you around and everyone trying to act warm.
At the airport, Rossellini.
Well, again, this movie is on Netflix, so you can watch it again and again. Thank you for being a great audience. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.